Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 3. And before we get into everything, I have to start off by saying that I think that Giselle needs to quit while she's ahead because, once again, this ain't it. I don't care how you feel about Candace and Chris. What Giselle is doing is wrong. And something tells me that we're about to see the Green-Eyed Bandits fall out by the end of the season, and they won't be friends anymore, or their friendship will be severely fractured. Because this stunt that Giselle is doing is pathetic. To go so low that you want to lie on somebody and insinuate like they were trying to push up on you is disgusting. But with all that being said, let's just jump right into this episode because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So the episode picks right back up where we left it off at last week. Candiace gets up, goes into the bathroom, and she is talking to her producer, Eric. So she says, what we're not about to do is malign my husband's name. And if that's what it's gonna be all season long, then obviously you don't want me here. So we have the producer making excuses, and he is like, look, I can't control what you say, just like I can't control what they say. And once again, Candace says, this is absolute BS because we have an actual predator on this cast, and his name is Michael Darby. And the fact that these women have welcomed him with open arms despite all that he's done, that's a problem. Now, I screamed when Candace said that they would all offer Michael tea and crumpets, and that's very true because despite it all, we've seen a handful of these ladies still hugging Michael and talking to him, and they've embraced him, and that's just unacceptable. Personally, with all that Michael has done, Ashley should have been fired off of this show. And that's no shade to Ashley. Despite how I feel about her and her actions throughout these last few seasons, I'm just saying, a lot of other women on a lot of other casts would have been fired if their husband was out here groping people, especially producers and cameramen. And as judgmental and as nasty as Giselle is, I do find it very shocking and weird that she's been very nice to Michael. But now she wants to pull this stunt about Chris Bassett. So while Candace is going off to Eric, you see Giselle walk back to join the rest of the ladies, and so Ashley's like, why is Candace over there? What's happening? And Giselle is pretending like she has no idea what just happened. So she's like, oh, I don't know, she's just over there talking with Eric. Like, I don't know, she's fine, I think she's okay. And it's like, girl, you just sat up here and played in her face talking about you think her husband made you feel uncomfortable and try to get at you. But now you want to sit up here and tell these ladies, well, I don't know why she's mad. I think she's okay. She's just talking to the producer. Really? And that's how you know that Giselle is playing around for a storyline, because if this really happened, why wouldn't you just tell the ladies, you know what? Candace is angry because I told her that her husband came on to me. Because I know that if I'm telling the truth, I wouldn't be sitting there pretending like I don't know what's going on. So we flip back to Candace and Eric still talking, and Candace says, at the end of the day, you will not sit up here and malign my husband's name. It's just not going to happen. So now Eric says that they all say stuff about each other. So Candace says, shout out to everybody, I have fun, I'm not doing this.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I had fun.
I gotta be good.
And then she lets Eric know that production better not cut out her fourth wall. She says, you better leave all this in this episode, okay? Like, don't you dare take it out. And I said, I know that's right. So Candace storms out, doesn't say bye to anybody, and I wouldn't have said bye to anybody either because you have completely lost me when you want to lie on me and my husband. So I would have absolutely given everybody my ass to kiss as well. Candace had me screaming in her confessional when she said, not today, Satan, not today, neck, not today, ankles. I think that Candace did the right thing just storming off and leaving. so that way nobody could say that she was being confrontational or that she ruined the event. Also, Candace, I want to quickly say this. I'm a fan of yours. I've been riding for you for quite some time. But I remember saying in a recap from last season that you need to watch out for Giselle. I do not believe for 1 minute that Giselle ever liked you. I think that she tolerated you and she rallied behind you when the whole thing happened in season 5 because of how much she hated that one. And I'm not going to say her name. But because there was never a real friendship on her part, I'm like, I don't understand why you couldn't see this coming. Giselle is not somebody who you could ever put your trust in that she'll actually be a real friend. Look at how she does Robyn. She's sitting up there telling Robyn's personal business about Juan's name not being on the house. Who does that to your alleged best friend? If she'll do that to Robyn, then Lord knows what she'll do to you. And I think that these ladies need to understand that you need to stop begging for Giselle's attention, validation, friendship, acceptance, because it will lead you down a road to nowhere. I just don't understand what this fascination is with being Giselle's friend. I would be paying her dust. I'm upset that Candiace even fell in this trap because now look what's happening. So Candiace is gone and now all the rest of the women are sitting there talking, and Wendy brings up how she met with Peter Thomas recently about a restaurant. So they're all listening to Wendy, and Charisse interjects and says, you know that when you open up a restaurant, you pretty much have to live in there. Like, it's no joke. And once again, Wendy, I need for you to reevaluate some things, because going into business with Peter Thomas is not the wisest of decisions. Also, you have a lot going on, and you don't understand how taxing it is to own a restaurant or a lounge or a bar. And I think that you're getting into something that you're not equipped to handle. And I thought it was interesting that Wendy discussed this with the group, especially to Ashley, because Ashley knows firsthand about a failed restaurant, because her and Michael almost split up because of that flop of an Australian restaurant in the first 2 seasons. So if anybody has some insight about, you know what, Wendy, maybe rethink this because it's not the best idea, it would be Ashley. And Wendy, I love you to death, but I'm gonna be honest. This whole restaurant lounge with Peter Thomas is feeling like I'm doing this for a storyline. Season 8, I, along with all the viewers, want a real storyline. Now, mind you, because Giselle and Wendy aren't cool anymore, Giselle is pretty much ignoring this conversation going on, and she automatically interjects and she brings up her issues with Mia. So she's like, Mia, I texted you the other day and I didn't get a response back. So Robyn says, why don't you guys go off to the side and have a private conversation? We don't need to be privy to you guys hashing it out. So they go back into the studio, and now is Robyn, Charisse, Wendy, and Ashley just sitting there. And so Robyn and Wendy start talking about this whole mess between Giselle and Mia. So Wendy says that she's gonna give Mia the benefit of the doubt because one of her friends had cancer and recently passed away from it. So Robyn says, I believe that Mia's going through something, but it doesn't feel right to me when you post on Instagram that you're going to the cancer center, but then you don't update us with results. It just feels very misleading. Now, here's where things get weird. Robyn starts getting aggressive and just angry out of nowhere at Wendy. And I was like, okay, I understand that you're still mad at Wendy from last season, but this conversation did not have to go the way it went. And Robyn, you definitely turned me off. I was like, girl, why are you doing all this? Like, doing the absolute most for no reason. So Wendy keeps reiterating that she's gonna still give Mia the benefit of the doubt. And now Robyn says, but Wendy, last week at Karen's Spling Fling party, why did you walk up to all of us and put it on me and Giselle like we were the only ones who had questions? So Wendy's confused and she says, Robyn, I didn't say anything, like, I didn't even do anything. Why are you so angry? So Robyn says, no, you kept saying, what did Giselle and Robyn say? And when they played the tapes back, Wendy was literally trying to clarify what was said because she was confused as to why they were fighting at Karen's party. So Robyn's yelling at Wendy, talking about, we all share the same sentiments. And Wendy says, no, we don't. And then she adds that the energy that they met Mia with at Karen's party was completely different from how she met with Mia. She says, I gave Mia a hug. You guys ambushed her at the party talking about, is this what cancer, no cancer looks like? And then you have Robyn jumping up, getting loud. And when Wendy was like, girl, sit your ass down, okay? Like, Baltimore County ain't got nothing on me. And when I tell you, I screamed. And you know what this stupid fight reminded me of? It reminded me of when Sheree and Marlo got into it when they were in South Africa in season 4. And they were making all those faces because it was such a dumb argument. At the end of the day, you and Giselle have had the most to say about Mia and her health. So Wendy keeps reiterating that she never called Mia a liar. That was all Robyn and Giselle's doing. And then she tells Robyn once again to sit her ass down and to stand 10 toes down in her truth. Now, mind you, at the same time that Robyn and Wendy are having it out about nothing, we see Mia and Giselle in the studio. They're talking things over. Giselle actually apologizes, and her and Mia hug it out. Now, Mia also wants to be friends with the quote-unquote cool girls, so I wasn't surprised that she accepted Giselle's apology like that. I said, okay, girl. I mean, I knew you weren't really that mad. So Giselle and Mia go back to join the rest of the women, and now they're all like, did you guys have a good conversation? And Giselle and Mia say, yes, we did. We resolved everything. We're good. So now Mia gives an update on her health, saying how the doctor ruled cancer out, but she now has a swollen lymph node. So Robyn says, look, at the end of the day, Mia, I just want to get to know you better, and I also want to know that I'm getting the truth. And I said, Robyn, you are asking Mia for something that she will never be able to give you. Mia is a full-blown liar, and she needs help. And we saw more of her and her lies later on in this episode. I'm so fascinated by people who can just lie. Like, how does that feel? Like, you don't feel weird? You don't feel crazy? Now, here's where things get really weird, because Robyn says to Mia, both of our sons are the same ages, they both play basketball, and I would love for them to get together. So she's like, are your kids on spring break? Mia says yes. Then she goes on to ask Giselle if her girls are on spring break. I think Giselle says yes as well. Then she's asking Ashley and Sharice if they're free because she wants to have a family fun day. So she's like, you guys are all invited except for Wendy. So Wendy's sitting there and she's like, oh, okay, so I'm not invited, like me and my kids are excluded. And Robyn says, you called me a horrible person, so I don't care. So Wendy lets it be known that when it comes to kids, that's where she draws the line. She says that she would never do that, and that's a big character flaw. And I 100% agree with Wendy. That was beyond rude and just flat out disgusting. I understand if you and Wendy don't get along, but to exclude her kids out of a group activity, I was just so disgusted. You don't do certain things. And don't punish Wendy's kids just because you and Wendy have beef. That really wasn't right. And that is a character flaw, and you need to grow up. Because who does that? And if I were Wendy, I would have said, well, okay, F you and that little stupid family fun day. I'm going to take my kids to Disney or Hawaii, okay? Because you're not going to sit up here and exclude me and my kids and make us feel bad. I don't think so. I would have booked the flights in the hotel right then and there. I just find it so funny that Robyn hates Wendy so much, but she has so much grace for Ashley, somebody who was digging into her finances in season 1 and letting everybody around town know that they only had $25 in their bank account. They're good friends, but you can't forgive Wendy. And you know that you'd be the first one pissed if Wendy pulled this stunt on you, inviting everybody else's kids and not yours to a family fun day. You'd be like, I never do that. Who does that? Who takes it out on the kids? You would be saying a whole bunch of stuff. You and Giselle. So everybody leaves the dance studio, and now we hear Wendy talking to one of the producers, but we can't see them. But we hear the producer asking Wendy where she and Mia stand. So Wendy says, well, I'm the only one giving Mia a chance. But at the end of the day, Mia's lying because she's a liar anyway. So, child, when she said that, she's like, wait a second, I'm still mic'd? Like, take this mic off me. And I was like, Wendy, here I was defending you a few minutes ago, and now it shows that you're two-faced, because why don't you just say, you know what, Robyn, you're right. I think that she's lying too. You want to sit there and act like I'm giving her a chance, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. Then 5 minutes later, you're sitting there telling the producer, well, you know, she's lying anyway. Just be upfront with how you feel, Wendy, because when we see things like this, it makes you look two-faced and phony. And girl, I ride for you, okay? And I don't want to see the viewers coming for you about every little thing. Because I saw folks saying, that's why I don't like Wendy, because look at her, she's so fake. She's saying one thing to Robyn and then a different thing to somebody else. Even though they all do that, it just seems like you and Candace seem to get the brunt of the backlash anytime y'all do something. So now we move on to a few short scenes. We see Candace at home. She's on the phone with her doctor while she's giving herself the injections. Now, I was scared for her because if you know me, I am deathly afraid of needles. Anytime I have to do some blood work at the doctor's office, I'm always like screaming, looking away. Like I am very squeamish when it comes to needles, so I had to turn my head when I was looking at this scene. But props to Candace because she did do it. But she says that she's emotional doing this by herself since Chris is at work. Remember that he works long hours because he's the general manager at the W. So Candace says on top of being emotional, she's also really stressed out because of what Giselle is doing to Chris. Candace adds that Giselle knows that she's trying to have children, and she says, you know, she knows what I'm going through. We've talked about this at length. And then she says, my issue is I got too comfortable with Giselle. And Candace, I have said this repeatedly all last season, that Giselle is not your friend. Giselle tolerated you at best. And you let your guard down, sis. With Giselle, you need to always keep your head on a swivel. Even if she is nice to you. You have to always have a little bit of a side eye like, girl, why are you being nice? And before any Giselle fans come in these comments to rip me a new one, let me be very clear. I have been watching this show since season 1. And I have seen the pattern with Giselle Bryant, okay? And I say that because some of you guys are bandwagon fans who started watching season 5 because of what went down. But I'm not new to Potomac. I'm true to Potomac, okay? And like I said, I have been watching since season 1, episode 1. And Giselle has a pattern of going after people. I think the reason why Giselle has been able to be really nice and actual friends with Ashley, because they are two sides of the same coin, and Ashley probably reminds her of herself when she was younger. I have said this time and time again, Giselle gets off on the fact that a lot of these ladies, especially the newbies who come on the show, that they want to be her friend, and she plays off of that weakness. So now we flip to Karen and Ray having a little self-care day, and they're at the nail salon. So they sit down to get their manicures. Karen is joking around, telling the nail techs that her and Ray are gonna get matching pink manicures. So Karen is asking Ray how his day is going. He says that it's going well so far. He did some work earlier on in the day, and now he's here with her. So now Ray says to Karen, if she does this all the time, just relaxing and luxuriating and getting her nails done all the time, And Karen says, of course, because you know I always love on me. Like, I'm always going to take care of myself. And I said, I know that's right. So then Ray says, so that's why you look so good. So now Karen starts laughing, and then she says, Ray, can I ask you a question? So Karen says, Ray, are you insecure or jealous of the fact that other people are checking me out? Now, honestly, I felt like this conversation was just so silly, because who just asked their spouse or their boyfriend or girlfriend, are you jealous that other people are checking me out? Like, who asks that? I was confused. So Ray says, well, of course, you know, every man is somewhat insecure, especially when they have a beautiful wife at home. Then he goes on to say that Karen has always been attracted to other men, and men have always been attracted to her. So Karen says, hold on now. And I was like, where is this conversation going? Like, once again, what are y'all saying? Even the nail techs were laughing like, what is going on right now? So now Ray says that Karen has always been a flirt. So now Karen says, but you always told me that I could have eye candy in our marriage. And then Ray says, yeah, just as long as candy stays as candy. And I was just so confused. So basically, is Ray admitting that Karen never found him attractive and she was only with him because he was a great provider? And because of that, she gets her financial needs met, but not the physical attraction needs met. And so she has, I guess, other men that she flirts with on the side. Is that the arrangement? Because that's how I took it. Now, if that's the case, and that's kind of sad, because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, you know, a man with money is amazing. Like, I'm all for that. But there also needs to be some attraction as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, but you should want to be physically and sexually attracted to the person that you're with, right? I mean, just me. But I didn't know how to take this conversation. I was like, what's going on? Then I started thinking, is Karen trying to soft launch a divorce because she's no longer attracted to Ray? Like, because these past 3 episodes, it's been all about how Ray's not on board with her enhancements, how he feels intimidated and insecure and jealous because other people are checking her out. And I'm thinking, is there something else that you want to tell us? Because if you want a divorce, just let us know. And like I told you guys, when I met Karen, Karen looks good. Like, the body is snatched. And the camera does not do her face justice. So I said, you know, if she does want another man that she's actually attracted to, then, you know, so be it. But there's a big part of me that feels like Karen and Ray are both doing this so that she can have a storyline and stay on this show. I get the impression that they're both in on the joke, and we're here confused, scratching our heads. So now we move on to the next scene with Ashley and her brother, and they are looking at another house. We learn that Ashley has put in 3 offers so far for other houses, and they were all rejected. And I think Ashley said that the reason why her offers were rejected because the other offers that came in were all cash offers. So now the producer starts asking Ashley if Michael would consider doing a cash offer, and Ashley says that Michael gave her some excuse saying that that wouldn't be good, and she's like, I don't know, child, he just doesn't want to do it. And I said, Ashley, you know, along with all of us, that Michael is BSing you for whatever reason. You will never get the truth out of that man. So Ashley and her brother pull up to the house, and the house is in Arlington, Virginia, and it's $1.5 million. Beautiful home, a lot of space, and we see that Ashley's realtor, Natalie, is there. Now, mind you, not only is Natalie their realtor, she's also an employee of Michael's as well. So Ashley gets done touring the house. She says that it's more than enough space for her and the boys, and she says the last factor now is Michael. So now she's talking to Natalie, and she says that Michael has asked them to keep it hush-hush about the separation and divorce because it could affect the buying process. So Natalie says, I mean, yeah, Michael did tell me to keep it hush-hush, but at the end of the day, your marital status does not affect anything. I already spoke to the lender and it's fine. So Ashley's like, wait, what? Because Michael told me that buying a house is contingent on our marital status. So the fact that it's all right and that's not true at all, I'm looking at him sideways. Now I was thinking, Ashley, do you really think that Michael Darby is going to be honest with you? Just like your uncle told you, you need to get a lawyer. You need to move a lot smarter than you're moving. I was just so surprised at how naive Ashley's being. Like, girl, wake up. And then when the producer asked Ashley in her confessional if it's getting her upset at the fact that Michael's already lying about finances, and she said, you know what? I can't let it get me down. And I said, Ashley, you need to listen to your family and hire a lawyer. And Karen and Giselle already warned you that men get crazy when it comes time to splitting up the assets, because this man will cheat you out of what you're owed. And I saw you on Watch What Happens Live 2 weeks ago, and you even admit to Andy that you found out that there's more stuff in the paperwork about your prenup and that it's tricky language and you might not get what you think you're about to get. Michael is a smart man. He didn't get to where he got in business and in life being dumb. And best believe that even if your prenup is now null and void, he probably put so many loopholes in place. You need to really take care of business and make sure that you're not screwed out of a whole bunch of money. I'm serious. Like I said in the first 2 recaps, I would be looking at some really nice condos and call it a day. I'm sure you're making $500,000 already. You guys are in your 7th season. You're an OG on this cast. So for you to act like you just need Michael's help, that's not true, Ashley. You make great money. And you saw a big check from BravoCon because you guys get paid for that as well. So if I were you, I would get my lawyers involved ASAP, look for a home on my own without Michael, and make sure that I receive the biggest divorce settlement that I can get, and child support, and call it a day. So we see Ashley telling her brother that this will be the first time in her life that she's going to be living by herself. So she says that she just can't believe that her marriage is ending, and then she starts crying. So her brother gives her a big hug, and she says that she just thought that it was going to be forever, and she always questions herself, like, am I doing the right thing? And Ashley, while I am not your biggest fan by any means, let me offer up a few words of encouragement. You're doing the right thing, and now you can move on to somebody that you're actually attracted to. And girl, we know that you were hooking up with Luke from Summer House during BravoCon, okay? So you're not doing too badly. And Luke is so handsome, by the way, but that's another story for another day. And let me know, do any of you guys watch Summer House? Because I watch it. It's a really cute show, but that's neither here nor there because we're talking about Potomac. But Ashley, get yourself together now so that you are not walking away with nothing or very little. So now we move on to the next scene and we see Robyn at home. And when I tell you that Robyn's new house is gorgeous, I said the power of being on The Real Housewives, because the way you will go from poverty, foreclosure, and eviction to mansions and fully furnished homes and granite countertops and Range Rovers and Maseratis and Bentleys in your driveway.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
Robyn has definitely leveled up since being on this show. When Robyn said that they're able to appreciate it, I said, I know that's right. Because there's nothing like going through a severe loss, and then when you get it back again, you have so much newfound appreciation where it's like, okay, I will never take this for granted again because I know what it's like when it's taken away. And it was funny because she was picking at her sons because she was like, don't leave the kitchen messy, okay? And they were like, okay, Mom, like, enough. And it's so funny because When they first started the show, the boys were like, what, 6 and 7? And now they're 14 and 12? I was like, oh my gosh. So we see Juan join Robyn in the kitchen, and she brings up wedding plans. So she's showing him a picture of her first wedding dress, and he's like, do you still have it? And she says, no, I gave it away to charity years ago. And it was so funny when they played the tapes back of season 1, when in the first episode, Robyn had sold off the wedding dress and she had Giselle come over to help her. So Robyn says, well, since we're on the topic of wedding plans, how do you feel about signing a prenup? So Juan says, F that, and then he says, I'm just kidding. Do what you gotta do. Then he goes on to say that he makes more money than Robyn anyway. Now I was like, do you? Because I doubt it. I'm sure that Juan is seeing 6 figures, but I don't think he's touching Robyn. I would not be surprised if Robyn is seeing a nice million. So when he said that, I said, okay, Juan, you used to make all the money, but now the tables have turned. So Juan says, why didn't you want to talk about this the first time we got married? Because I remember mentioning it, we were at a restaurant and you were talking about, what, a prenup? So Robyn says, we did have one, Juan, but it didn't even matter because by the time we got divorced, we were broke.
Ladies, may we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
So Robyn goes on to add that you just never know because when divorce comes, things get ugly. Then she brings up how things got really messy between them and how Juan was dating somebody else during the time too. So here goes Juan talking about Robyn, stop it. Juan needs to be a bit more emotionally stable and a bit more emotionally mature because he's just so dismissive and it's so annoying to watch. So now Juan says that he's happy and proud of Robyn and he would never come after anything that she's earned. So Robyn says, I know you wouldn't. So now Juan says, so then why do you want me to sign a prenup? So Robyn says, you just never know. We all know that human nature is very fickle. Folks love you today and then hate you tomorrow. People can say, I would never do that. I would never betray you. I would never go after your money until they do. And Robyn is smart to cover her ass in case things should go south again. So now Juan is being sarcastic and he says, well, let's get a piece of paper and sign it. And then Robyn says that they should make a list and just write down all the things they owned and came into the marriage with. And then he says, Robyn, stop. And now he walks away. And I'm like, again, why can't you just be an adult and have a conversation? Why do you always feel the need to just get up and leave like that? It's very aggravating. I don't know how Robyn deals with that. It seems like if you're not saying what he wants to hear, he just wants to leave the conversation. So now we see a short scene with Wendy at the dermatologist, and we learn that Wendy's hair has been falling out due to stress. And she says that she was trying to ignore it, but it's become worse and worse, and she can't ignore it anymore. And then we also learn that she started losing hair after she had Cameron. And when I tell you that her baby girl is so adorable, oh my gosh. Wendy and Eddie have such a cute family. And I have to say that Eddie is also very nice. Like, he was so lovely to all the fans at BravoCon, like taking pictures, taking videos, just really nice. So anyhow, Wendy's telling her dermatologist that she feels her body breaking down. And I'm thinking, Wendy, I need you to sit down and relax. And that's not me being shady or trying to be funny. I need you to stop doing so much and just rest and enjoy what you've accomplished thus far. But it's not healthy for you to be operating in this space of you being burnt out, stressed, and tired. You have to make sure that you take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. I get really upset that so many Black women are burnt out. Like, it's not a way to live. You deserve to rest and take care of yourself. And I feel bad that Wendy feels like she's burning the candles on both ends. And being on a hit reality show, it's very demanding. The filming schedule is demanding. You're also getting paid to go and, make appearances, and you're doing press all the time. Like, that in itself is a full-time job. And you just can't do everything, and that's okay. So the dermatologist is explaining how stress affects hair because it pulls the nutrients from the follicle. So now the dermatologist lets Wendy know that there is a solution for this, and I don't remember what the medicine was called, but she said that it will help grow your hair, but it will also grow facial hair. And I was thinking, there's no other way, because I would have said, you know what, I'm good. I'll stick to doing castor oil treatments, deep conditions, and just praying that it grows back eventually. So now we move on to the next scene with the liar, Mia and Robyn meeting up for lunch. And child, this scene completely blew me. I was like, is Mia serious? So Robyn brings up the incident at the spring fling party, and she says that she wants to make sure that her and Mia are good. So Mia says that she wasn't as upset with the rest of the women because nobody else walked up on her talking about, so this is what cancer, no cancer looks like. So Robyn says that she understands because, once again, it's all about delivery, and even she felt bad for how they treated Mia at the party. And while I don't like Mia at all, I do agree that their delivery was off, and it was rude of them to just ambush her talking about, so this is what cancer, no cancer looks like? Really? Do you even have cancer? Like, your post is misleading? Who does that? I mean, you don't do that to somebody. So now Robyn starts questioning Mia, and she says, but I do want to know the truth and what's going on with you. Because Ashley asked you the other day if you were cancer-free, and then you said on your Instagram post that you would give us an update, and we haven't gotten an update. So now Mia gives the most confusing answer, like she always does, because we know that Mia lies. And she says that she has 2 lumps for biopsy, but that she's already had the biopsies since she made that Instagram post. So Robyn is confused, and she says, but Mia, once you post on social media, then you've opened up that door for people to want to know and get updates. And then Mia says that she understands Robyn's viewpoint, but she's an open book. And I'm thinking, how are you an open book when all you do is lie? So now Mia says that the lump is on her ass, and it's not cancer, but it's an autoimmune disease. So I'm thinking, girl, what? Even Robyn said this story makes no sense, but you know what? I'ma just go with it. I said, but Robyn, you're the fool to even expect a straight answer and the actual truth from Mia. But I already told you guys, I'm not going to sit up here and entertain Mia all season long, because at BravoCon she confirmed that she's cancer-free. So we're not even going to spend all season long doing this, well, does she or doesn't she, because she confirmed it last week that she is cancer-free. So now they switch gears in the conversation, and Robyn says, did you catch what happened with Candace the other day? And Mia says no, because she stormed out of there like a 12-year-old. And I'm thinking, you are just so hateful. Why do you hate Candace so much? Like, what's your problem? So now Robyn brings up the whole mess that Giselle told her about Chris Bassett trying to come on to her. So Mia says, well, I have something that I need to add. And I'm thinking, this woman lies so damn much. But here's where the delusions come out, and Mia says that she felt uncomfortable at Karen's spring fling party because Chris kept staring at her. And I was so glad that production clocked you, because we saw the tapes and Chris did not look at you one time. I said, girl, you are a pathological liar. Why won't you get some help? I'm serious. I think that Mia, along with Giselle, suffer from that ailment where they believe that every man wants them. A man could come up to you, ask you out on a date, say that you're beautiful, and they'll be sitting up there talking about, well, you know that he only said that because he wanted me. And you'll be like, girl, what? And I was so glad that Chris Bassett ate you up on Twitter, and he was like, you have got to be kidding me. I was out looking at you. Are you serious? And then you gave that weak apology talking about, I'm sorry, Chris, you're right. I was just insecure because I was really pale and frail at the time, and I was afraid that you were looking at me because of that. And it's like, you just can't help yourself. So we close out that dumb scene with Mia saying that maybe there is truth to what Giselle is saying. And then Robyn says, I don't even want to go there. So now we get to the final scenes of the episode, and they are two parallel scenes with Karen and Giselle together at Karen's house, and Chris, Candiace, and Robyn together at a restaurant talking. So first, we see Giselle arrive to Karen's. She says that despite all their back and forth, they still love each other, and she loves the way Karen loves her. Now, I've touched on this several times. While Karen and Giselle are frenemies, there is a base level of respect, and that's why their pseudo-friendship works. And when they go at it, it's not as malicious as we see with other people. When they fight, they go for the jugular. So Giselle tells Karen that she missed her the other day, and she says that Ashley had them doing these sexy dances, and then she starts demonstrating the dances that she learned. And so Karen says, girl, are you serious? Like, Ashley had y'all doing all that? And then Karen says, you know what? I'm not surprised because Ashley knows how to drop it like it's hot, cold, or freezing. So Giselle says, enough about the dance class. We have a lot to discuss. So Karen already knows what it's about, and she says, Ashley and Mia already told me about what happened with you and Chris, and I think that Chris owes you an apology. So I was like, Karen, you really believe that Chris tried to come on to Giselle? Why does Chris need to apologize to Giselle? She is doing this for a storyline. And this is where my annoyance lies with Karen, because Karen likes to play neutral all the time, and it's like, sis, you need to pick a side. And also, Giselle has already said on the record that Chris did not touch her or say anything inappropriate to her. So once again, why does he need to apologize to her? So now we cut to Chris and Candace out having lunch, and they're discussing the IVF treatment so far, and she was told by the doctor that her body's not responding in the right time frame, and she feels like she's failed. So Chris says, don't cry, like, it's okay. We're still in the very early stages, don't feel like that. And I really felt bad for Candace. I can only imagine how she feels. Like, you're trying to have a baby and things aren't working. Like, I can understand how she's like really upset by that. So now Candace says that the stress with the whole Giselle mess is affecting her, and she's really pissed by that. So now Chris jumps in and says that he's really angry about it. When he first heard about what Giselle was saying, he was like, are you serious? Why are you trying to turn this into something when it's not? Then he adds that he's always trying to make sure that people are comfortable, so to hear that Giselle feels this way is very upsetting. Now, one of you guys made a great point in my comments in last week's recap, and you said that while you like Chris, your issue with him is the fact that he's too nice to Candace's co-workers, especially the ones who don't like her, and how he never should have been nice to Ashley and Giselle like that because of how they've tried his wife in the past, especially with Ashley. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely correct. Then Chris lets it be known that he never even suggested going back to her dressing room. She's the one who suggested it. All he said was, can we talk? And she said, okay, we can talk in my room. So then Chris says that when they both saw that her dressing room was empty, that he suggested they leave the door open because he didn't want any rumors swirling around. So now we cut back to Giselle and Karen talking, and we see Giselle saying that Chris was the one who suggested that they go back to her dressing room, and how when she saw that it was just them two alone, she felt uncomfortable. So Giselle says, I'm in a room alone with a married man, and now it's his word against mine. So Karen says, now hold on. How do we go from you felt uncomfortable to now your word against his? And Karen was low-key saying, Giselle, don't F around and get yourself fired off of this show or have this show canceled with what you're trying to allude to. Because if you want to sit up here and take this storyline to where it's going, then we're all going to be in trouble talking about your word against his. So Karen says, you and Chris are friends, right? Did he touch you? Say anything crazy to you? Like, did that go down? Yes or no? Giselle says no to both. So Giselle says that she told Chris, can he check if somebody needed her because she thought that she had heard her name being called or whatever have you. And so that was her way of getting him out of her dressing room. So let me just pause right here. Giselle is a grown woman. She has her boundaries of what she will and won't do, right? When she opened that door and saw that her glam had left, she could have closed that door and said, you know what, Chris? Let's talk right here out in the open, right? Nobody forced her to go in the room and stay there with him. Like, am I crazy or am I crazy? Because I was just thinking this didn't have to be a situation. You chose to go in the room, stay there for a minute, and now you want to claim that you felt uncomfortable. This makes no sense. And Giselle is playing a sick and twisted game because she has no storyline. Because I know that if I felt a way, if I don't want to be in a room with a married man by myself, I would have said, oh, let's just talk right here. Now, I could see you having some concerns if you said, Chris, let's just stay here and talk, and he insisted that you guys go back to your dressing room, then I could see you having a valid complaint. But that's not what happened. Like I said about Mia earlier, Giselle also suffers from that syndrome of thinking that every man wants her. And she cannot fathom when that's not the case. And I don't know if she is feeling away even more because she's getting older and she's trying to prove to herself that she still has it. But either way, there's something wrong because what you're doing is not right. So we flip back to Chris and Candace, and Chris says, maybe she did feel uncomfortable, but all I know is that I've always been nothing but nice to her. And if we want to be real, she's the one who always brings up my brown penis every chance she gets. And when they rolled those tapes back, we did see that Giselle does bring up his penis a lot. And I said, well, if anything, Giselle, I'm looking at you sideways. Do you have a crush on Chris? And you're hoping that he has a crush on you too? Is that what it is? So now we flip back to Karen and Giselle, and Karen says, look, I actually had an incident 3 years ago with another husband in this group where he squeezed me so hard that my breast touched my backbone. So she says that this husband was a little bit drunk and he probably didn't mean anything by it, but she had to consult with her minister and Ray to get her through it. Now, when Karen told the story, I immediately thought of Michael Darby because of his track record, and we know how he gets. Gordon also came to mind. Even though Karen said that it happened 3 years ago, I think that she might have lied to save face and not give away, who it was. I also remember how Gordon acted when they were on that trip in last season and he was sticking his tongue out to Karen. So I said it could have been Gordon. Another husband came to mind who's no longer on this show. I said maybe it could have been him. I don't know, because I remember that her and them were very close when they were both on this show. But whoever it was, Karen lets it be known that she didn't feel like it was that big of a deal to sound the alarm. And she's low-key letting Giselle know that this is a very dangerous game that she's playing. So we see Giselle going on and on about how she told Robyn about how she feels, and then the producer asks Karen if she thinks that there are cracks in the Green-Eyed Bandits friendship, and Karen says absolutely. And like I said earlier on in this recap, I will not be surprised if Giselle and Robyn fall out over this because Robyn's not here for it. So now we flip right back over to Chris and Candiace. Robyn joins them. They're not all too excited to see Miss Robyn. When Chris went up to hug Robyn, Candiace was like, careful now. Like, I don't want you claiming that my husband tried to touch you or something. And so Robyn's like, oh my gosh, don't be like that, y'all. Like, I come in peace. So Robyn says that this is hard for her because while Giselle is her girl, she thinks that Giselle is on some BS and doesn't believe this entire story. So she brings up how Ashley was talking about Chris was sliding in her DMs. And Chris says, first of all, I was replying to her story. Big difference. So now Robyn brings up what Giselle told her about what happened at the reunion. And Robyn says, I want to make it clear that I don't buy it. And I don't think that you had any bad intentions. So Chris says, it's just confusing to me because when I come around you guys, I don't mind giving you guys hugs. Like, I never initiated. I wait for you guys to hug me first. So now Candace interjects and says, when we were at the dance class last week, Giselle came to me breathing all heavy, clutching her fake pearls, talking about, she was uncomfortable, acting like my husband wanted to snatch her drawers off. Like, who does that? Where was all this trepidation when you saw Chris at Karen's party? And I said, excellent point, because I know that if I felt uncomfortable, if I see you at a party, at an event, at the coffee shop, wherever, I would not be rushing over to hug you. Because we saw Giselle at the party. She was laughing in Chris's face, giving him a big hug, asking him how he was doing. So I'm just confused as to where this is coming from now. Because like I said, if I felt uncomfortable or if I felt like I was violated, I would not be smiling in this man's face. And it's so funny because Giselle can ignore women that she's mad at, but now you're smiling in a man's face who made you feel uncomfortable? How does that work? So Robyn says, I said the same thing to her, why now? And then she says, where do we go from here? So Candace says, at this point, Giselle is dead to me. And I completely understand why she feels that way. Giselle can never speak to me again after this. Because how dare you try to act like my husband is a predator when meanwhile back at the ranch, you have Michael Darby out here squeezing everybody's asses, groping people. And there's no vitriol for him. Y'all have welcomed him with open arms. It's crazy. But like I've said, I think that for Giselle to get out the bed each morning, she needs to feel like everybody's man wants her. So we end the episode with now Giselle and Karen talking. And Giselle says that she just knew that she would hear from Candace by now. And she's just really surprised because she felt uncomfortable. And then she adds that it felt wrong to her and it felt wrong in her gut. That's where it ends. And once more, Giselle, this is a new low. You should feel ashamed of yourself and embarrassed. For you to malign this man's name and allude to something sinister happening is disgusting. Also, these sort of allegations are no joke, and keep fooling around and you'll get this show canceled. And then you'll really be crying because then there will be no more checks coming in for you. Just a hot mess. I'm like, Giselle, you couldn't come up with anything else? This is the only storyline you could go to? Like, this is really sad. But y'all, that was my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. And you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.